appeal if anybody wants to watch that online, so just so everybody's aware of that just now. So again, welcome to the online meeting of the Coatbridge Community Board. So just to start off, is there any apologies, Andrew or Maureen?
Maureen, excuse me, Maureen, that'd be you. And you're on mute, we've lost Maureen as well.
Maureen not there. She's still there, but she's...
Well, she's still there, but she's muted, but I don't know, she obviously can't hear us.
Maybe some connection issues. We can come back to that. In terms of the previous minute that was issued, is there any MD? Is everybody okay with the accuracy of those minutes? Are there any issues with that? Could we have somebody to support the minutes initially, and then we can get a seconder? It was at our last meeting.
Yeah, I'm happy to support them, Matt.
Okay, thanks. Can we have a seconder for that?
I'll second them, Matt.
Thanks, Jenny. Okay, that's fine. Any matters arising from the last minute that anybody wants to pick up just now that won't be picked up on the agenda?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, so who's that?
Yeah, it's Maria Thompson.
Hi, Maria.
Yeah, asked for the consultation of St Kevin's at the last meeting, and it's not been distributed.
Okay, was that the consultation document you were looking for that, Maria?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we'll look into that and find out what's happened with that, Maria. We'll make sure that whatever information is available is shared. That be okay? Do you need to pick that up if there's anything from that we could share?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'll get that taken forward with the team.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for that. Any other matters arising? No. Okay, just to move on then to the next part of the agenda. We've tried to pull together a couple of presentations regarding some issues tonight at the Community Board, and we're starting off with the first presentation tonight is going to be input by from the Area Commander from Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, who's the Vice Chair of the North Lanarkshire Partnership Strategic Leadership Board, Jim Quinn. So again, welcome to the meeting, Jim, and we'll be passing over yourself to have a contribution to the meeting.
Brilliant, Matt. Thank you very much indeed. There is a few slides. Is Jennifer on to be able to share that with us? No. Matt, have these slides been shared by anybody else that can take us through them? Or can click through them for me, please?
I'm trying to see if Jennifer was on there. Jim, I just can't see her on the...
I don't know if there's maybe connection issues with people, because I spoke to Jennifer about an hour ago and she was certainly intending to come along.
Yeah, I don't see her on the call at the moment.
Matt, sorry to cut in.
That one, the documents that were sent to us?
Yeah, it's a PowerPoint presentation, yeah.
Yeah.
I've certainly got it on my computer. I'll have a wee flip back and see.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that just now and we'll get that shared. Just got a wee second, we'll find that.
Apologies, Matt, do you mind if I jump in for a wee second? Whoever is handling the technical side tonight, we have 7 people sitting in another meeting. There must have been a double link sent out. So I'm going to try and get them called into this. So just carry on, and hopefully within the next few minutes, everybody will be able to join us, including Jennifer. She's sitting in that other meeting right now.
She's obviously heard my presentation, Matt, and decided that a splinter meeting is going to be the way forward.
Let's see if we can find this. Give me bear with us a wee second.
Thanks.
I think I might be able to try and share that if you want, Matt. If you're happy for me to try.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, Gavin, if it's there.
Superb, thank you. All right, I suppose just take us through. There only is a few slides, I think maybe 6 or 7 in total, so not too onerous, hopefully. Probably by way of an introduction, first of all, I'm Area Commander Jim Quinn, responsible for Lanarkshire from a Scottish Fire and Rescue perspective. So that covers both North and South Lanarkshire, obviously crossing over the two localities. So I suppose to give you a background to myself, I have got a extensive background with SFRS, so 27 years in the fire service. As Area Commander, I've been in position for 2019. First of all, kind of doing the kind of planning for the COP26, the strategic planning for the COP26 event, and then moving into the locality. So a bit of background in Falkirk West Lothian from a local senior officer perspective, and then most recently, since September last year, moved into Lanarkshire. Probably just, again, you'll be aware of this anyway, but I am the vice chair to that strategic leadership board, Stevie Dolan being the chair for Police Scotland. I'll take you through the presentation. Happy to take any questions at the end of this. And also, I suppose, happy to take any questions either on the presentation, and I may field some of them, just depending on what the questions are. And ultimately, if there's anything from a Scottish Fire and Rescue perspective that's burning and you would like to discuss, I'm absolutely and equally happy to talk about that as well. So for the purposes of this evening, what I will kind of try and talk us through, or what I will try and talk through, is a strategic leadership board and structure and the membership within. I'll talk about community planning partners and the need to develop closer and more mature open relationships. I think all of us knows that there's been COVID in the kind of midst of setting up some of these groups, so it's been relatively recently that we're all been able to get together either in person or at least that being able to kind of work that, to have that kind of collaborative approach, if you like. So very much I need just to develop more mature relationships, I suppose. And I think open and honest relationships, that's a big part of this as well, just to make sure that we are what we're discussing and what we're agreeing is agreed by all, and we're not shying away from some of the kind of difficult conversations that we may need to have to get the best out of whether it's the board or the community planning partnership meetings, etc. So I'll talk about some of that. Talk about some of the local outcome improvement plans, your LOIPs. Talk about a community plan improvement plan, which was developed following feedback, both from strategic leadership board, so it was kind of issued at the tail end of last year and been working through some of it this year. So feedback for SLB, the community boards, local partnership teams, and suggested improvements for each of these forums, or from each of these forums. Move on to the next slide, please. Should be slide 2, hopefully. You've got your work cut out trying to follow me when I'm talking. I've got a tendency of going off in tangents, so I'll try and keep you on the right slide.
No bother.
So this talks about the full membership of the Strategic Leadership Board. The role of the Strategic Leadership Board, as you're aware, is to provide strategic direction, leadership and oversight. And as leaders, as you would expect, their aim is to simplify decision making and make things more seamless at the front end, to be able to remove any, I suppose, barriers or impasses that we come across, and be able to provide support to some of that. Demonstrate where a partnership is making positive impacts in people in the communities, and again, it's about sharing that wider information, and then developing a partnership programme of work to support the plan for North Lanarkshire. Partners are fully committed to partnership working both strategically and locally, identify senior officers to support delivery of the local outcome improvement plans in each of the community boards. Certainly for the fire service, this is done by the station commanders. Kenny Stark is one of the station commanders for the Lanarkshire team who's on call tonight. I suppose probably the person that you're most used to seeing recently from a Coatbridge perspective would be Martin Feeney. So Martin joined us probably about 6 months or so ago and been doing extensive work in the area. So I'm sure you'll be aware of who he is and his involvement in the forums that we're involved in. So for fire services, the local station commanders, our memberships, local partnership teams and attendees boards at board meetings, supporting you achieve your LOIP priorities and working in the various subgroups. I see this very much as a role with station commanders. So it's not just about the operational side of things where we'll respond and provide that support to the stations, but absolutely to make a difference within the local communities, which is absolutely why we're all here. So I see that as a huge part of a station commander's role, and it's something that I enforce on a regular basis. I work hard to empower staff. I think from a personal perspective, that's key. So staff absolutely are empowered to make decisions, and I'm not sure that that's always been the case, certainly from an SFRS perspective. You may have seen examples of that in the past, I think, whereby maybe some of the people that are coming to your group maybe weren't the right people at a group or weren't able to make decisions. I absolutely empower my staff to make decisions and we'll stand by them just to support any of the local outcomes that we're talking about. Can we move on to the next slide, please? So all of us are community planners. None of the positive work that we do or that we've done either thus far or that we'll continue to do in the future can be done in isolation. I think given the backdrop of where we are from a financial perspective and some of the issues that all organisations are working through at this moment in time, it's absolutely key that we are doing that joint working and joint approach and being innovative and being able to create innovative solutions to help us make that kind of difference at the front end. As public sector agencies, we have statutory responsibilities placed upon us through the Community Empowerment Act, Children and Young People Act. I think one of the things that I have seen, I've told you, been now in a couple of different localities carrying out this role. And one of the things that I have seen is that we're very much in the front foot from a North Lanarkshire perspective. We're certainly more developed than I've had exposure to previously. And I think that this is one of the kind of examples of that. The legislation that I talked about there, a lot of the work that's taking place predates all of that. Public sector bodies have been working together in partnership with community and voluntary sector for more than 30 years in North Lanarkshire. And I think that relationship and that, I suppose, open and honest discussions and that mature approach shines through. It is certainly my observations of what I've seen thus far. Talked about the increasing demands that are placed upon us all, none more so than obviously kind of COVID made an absolute sea change to how we approach and how we're able to do stuff. People really affected with that, generally the most vulnerable within our society. And then over and above that, most recently you've got the cost of living crisis, again impacts the people, generally the people that are most vulnerable as well. And again, it's about how we can best support them. Moving on to the next slide, please. So LOIPs, many of you here, I'm sure, will have been involved in the development of your LOIPs from your community board perspective. Over the autumn and winter of 2020, we consulted widely the priorities that were most important for people living in Coatbridge, and these are very specific to that. There will be general themes, which I'm sure you would imagine would be the case, that will run throughout North Lanarkshire. But there's certainly very specific elements of this, are of these within the LOIPs for Coatbridge as well. I suppose for a strategic leadership board and that kind of tie-in piece, we absolutely get regular reports coming from that. On that kind of, when we meet, we'll get an update from where we are as far as LOIPs are concerned. We'll also get a 6-monthly report, which will come into the group, which again will be discussed extensively. And as I say, it's really just about that, providing that additional support from that SLB perspective. And that's really what tonight's all about. It's just about opening the conversations. I suppose having the mature discussions that we were talking about, and please let us know what the issues are, and if there is issues, if there is things that are standing in your way to getting particular issues over the line, then please tell us about it. That's our role, that is our job, is to support the development of the local examples that we talked about. Mentioned the role of partner agency staff and local partnership teams. These teams in our subgroup, which some of you will be members of, have been set up jointly to meet these local priorities. Recent examples being the cost of living events, your community breakfasts, frontline staff and money accounts, etc. There's also, again, very positive news coming out with development of some of the new play areas and community gardens, which we're seeing across the communities, community safety initiatives such as CCTVs. These are just examples of some of the kind of positive stuff that's been done thus far. Services to combat loneliness, isolation and mental health. Our police colleagues talk about this regularly, and the role of our police in Police Scotland has absolutely changed since COVID, and the mental health element of that is very much came to the fore and becomes an increasing concern for all of us. As I say, we're none more so than our police colleagues who are involved in this on a day-to-day basis, and certainly within our own role from an SFRS perspective, we're seeing more and more of this. So as I say, it is really just about what can we do to make it better, and how can that SLB support that. I suppose the key to any future success is listening, learning, and then it's what matters. What do we actually need to do? What do we need to do to make a difference? And as I say, there's nothing more than that SLB providing that strategic direction. But more importantly, it's not about the direction element of it almost. It's about that support piece and making sure that you feel empowered and the community boards feel empowered to be able to work through some of the issues that they've got, knowing in the background that support is absolutely there throughout. Next slide, please. So this is just the final slide, just prior to opening it up to yourselves. Some of you may have participated in the self-assessment that we started at the beginning of this year. Following on from this, we've studied the feedback and developed community community planning and improvement plans for the next 2 years. We did get a response from the community boards. It was lower than I would have hoped, if I'm being honest. I'd like to have heard a lot more from that particular forum, because I think they're absolutely key. But it's clear that we're looking to the community boards are looking to revisit some of the operational arrangements. Some of the stuff that kind of come through in themes was about influence and the shape of what community boards do, the frequency of the meetings, the need for wider community representation and involvement. And again, that was something that was discussed at length at the Strategic Leadership Board, about is it the right representation, and how do we get, I suppose, that ground truth, because that's on a lot of occasions getting that kind of ground level information being fed into the group, and how people feel locally is probably one of the most challenging elements. So there was kind of a lot of discussion, and I know it's been discussed at your community boards as well, but there's a lot of discussion at the SLB about how we'd actually make that happen. Off the back of that, we have taken each of the 18 suggested improvement areas, scoped these out into a series of actions for the leadership board and the community boards, local partnership teams, recognising that the community boards are still quite new, and I'm saying quite new, been in place for a few years. But I suppose just getting to back to some sort of a normality following in COVID and being able to operate the way we would have done previously. So we were hamstrung slightly, and weren't able to, I suppose, develop at the rate that we would have hoped during that period, because there was so much more going on, I suppose. The other bits at community boards is examining what's working well. So this isn't the first event that we're actually attending. I think this is the third of many that either myself or Stevie Dolan, the chair of the SLB, are attending, really just to provide this overview, and then come to yourselves and I suppose open it to you, and for you to have that open and honest discussion with us, what is working well, what's not working as well, and how can the SLB support that to get better. So how can we improve that? How do we make things better? And how do we take away some of the barriers that we discussed earlier on to allow you to be able to make that front end difference that we've discussed? Revisiting the composition of the community board membership and considering how best to secure wider community representation and involvement. I've just touched upon that area about getting that ground truth, which we've always had difficulty in achieving, I suppose. Not on all occasions, but certainly in some areas. Strengthen the dialogue and accountability between the community boards, local partnership teams and the strategic leadership board, and that's exactly what I've been saying throughout this. So it is very much of a nobody can do this in isolation. Strategic leadership board will provide that support and provide, I suppose, that autonomy to be able to roll with any solutions, any ideas that we have, obviously within kind of set criteria, but just making sure that we have got, or there is the confidence within the community groups that we can develop stuff to I suppose to address our own local issues, and again feeling empowered but also feeling supported as well through some of that. There will be next year, at the beginning of next year, I'll let Jennifer come in and talk a wee bit more about that in a second, but we will be hosting the first community board conference next year, and again I'm really looking forward to how that progresses and how that looks, and hearing the views of our colleagues on here, and I suppose that kind of joint learning of getting everybody together and what works, what doesn't work, and let's not reinvent the wheel either. If it works in some areas, then why not try it? And if there is innovative areas of business that's been carried out within Coatbridge, then let's share that learning and roll it out across the wider North Lanarkshire. So at this point, I will pause and happy to, I was going to say, take any questions. I'm more than likely going to field some of the questions back to either Jennifer or Matt or any other unsuspecting person that may be online, but I'll open it up at this moment in time, just prior to concluding, if that's okay. Chair, will come back to yourself.
Thanks, Jim. Willie, can I pass over to yourself now for this?
Yes.
If I can recall, that's okay.
Can you hear me, Matt? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you fine, yeah.
Right, okay. Apologies, folks. As I say, we'll move on. Does anybody got any questions for Jim, or probably, as he says, for Jennifer and Matt? Please let us know. Anybody? Nothing? Raise a hand.
Chair, if there is nothing, all I would say is that kind of final slide, I know these have been issued to everyone anyway, but that final slide gives certainly my direct details, my email address. I'm happy for anybody to drop me an email. I'm equally happy to attend any forums that you wish would be of benefit to you and provide that wider support. I say this and I sound like a daft wee boy when I say this, but I've come from I come from Lanarkshire. I'm very keen to make a difference in Lanarkshire. It's the only team I've ever wanted to play for, as a famous man once said, and really kind of keen to support any areas of business that you feel would be of benefit. And equally, Chair, again, if you'll indulge me, I wouldn't mind staying on to the end of the meeting, just to kind of get a feel for some of the chat that you are having, some of the kind of more specific details of the information, if that's okay.
That'd be great. Thanks. As I say, apologies, Jim, I missed the start of your presentation, but thanks very much for that, and you're more than welcome to stay on. So if nobody's got any questions, I will move on. The next presentation update is driving digital locally in the digital mapping exercise, and we've got Lynn Gow, Engagement and Communication Lead, North Lanarkshire Council, and Carol Ann Miller from Comms World.
Hi,
Okay,
all.
folks.
Hi, thank you.
Hi.
Is it okay if I share a presentation, folks? Is that all right? Just to give you a quick update and idea about what this is all about. Can you see that okay?
Yep.
Is that all right?
Yep.
Okay, so Lynn Gow and I have been working together with your community board's representative for the Driving Digital Locally subgroup. And before we share, what we're going to share with you tonight is the output of engagement that has been going on for many, many months with that group, meeting and discussing what it is that we actually wanted to drive as part of this digital mapping exercise. Now, out of the local outcome improvement plans, digital inclusion was a priority for 7 out of the 9 community boards. So with that in mind, what we did is we didn't start from scratch. As a group, we looked at what those were. And something that was coming out as a key message throughout them was, I'll just share the next slide, was to gather information on the types of services that are available to your community, to the citizens within your community. And these are the types of things we prepared a survey where what we were asking was, what's available, what can people use, right? It's more to be informative about the types of services that are out there for use within the communities. So with that in mind, I'm going to stop presenting at the moment and share the output of this exercise. Bear with me. So can you see that okay, folks? Yeah.
Yep, fine.
So what you're seeing at the moment is that this is actually a dashboard that has been created jointly with the Driving Digitally Local group, with input from libraries, from community centres, from others in the community, that pretty much gathers the facilities that are available out there. Now, this is going to be made available to all, right? We're going to publish it. What we're doing just now is going around all the community boards to share this with them, and including yourselves this evening. And then after that, to gather some feedback from you. Your Driving Digitally Locally subgroup members already seen it. We practiced it with them first and let them see the output first. But if I start to demonstrate, the legend here is showing the types, these pins that are all over the map of the region are libraries, community centres and other buildings and facilities. So just to let you see what the pins are, and then you can actually click on the area, right? So you get to see within the map all the different types of community facilities that are available, and the number of activities that are available within the community are listed at the top. But then you can actually scroll through and see all the different types of facilities that are available. So, for example, even just looking at this one here, IT support with smartphone, the tablets and PCs, where it's based at the library and who it's suitable for. And in this instance, it's suitable for all. Most of the facilities are, and how you can contact to find out more about it. So the email, the phone number, and a link to the website as well. So it does actually give you a lot of information there that you can then further use. Lots of these services are free. That's the point of it. It's facilities that are available and already at the disposal of everyone within the community. They can all use them. And then I'll just go down a little bit more just to show you this one, IT training classes at Kirkshaw's Neighbourhood Centre. So it's pretty much giving the detail of how to get in touch, and pretty much telling you a little bit about what it is that's available to citizens in the area. So that is the thrust of the mapping exercise that we've done. And again, I will go back so I can show you the whole thing, hoping this works. Yes. So then there's also, whilst there's specifics for the area, there's online services that are available that for free through the library services. There's e-books, e-audiobooks, e-magazines, newspapers, things that you can use via the internet, and there's more information there about how you can get in touch to find out more about that. So this exercise that I'll go back to the slide just for one moment, if you don't mind. I'll just stop sharing for a sec, and then I shall share the last slide I have. Are you seeing that okay? No, not yet.
No, nothing yet, Caroline.
Is that it?
Yep, that's you.
Yeah. So this engagement piece with yourselves, right, to present the output and to ask for your feedback. So any questions? Is that something that you think? Yeah. Lynn, you've come in first there.
Yep, just quickly, just to say that I manage the Driving Digital Locally framework and also the digital subgroup. And if anybody would like to talk further about it, or I can send you the live link to it because it has been published now. I've put my contact details in the chat bar. I'm happy to talk to anybody offline about it.
And then Andrew.
I'll maybe speak to Lynn directly, but it was more, I suppose it's not so much about the information, but it's maybe about how people actually access the services. So for example, you know, what the nearest bus route, for example, to get to a facility, if that can be included, so people know how to get there. Do you know what I mean? But I'll pick that up separately.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's also, what it'll also probably do is, if you look at your own the Coatbridge Community Board area, it maybe highlights some gaps for you where you think, well, I know that something happens in this facility, but it's not on it. So that's really what the purpose of tonight is about as well. If you see gaps, please get in contact with us. We have tried to do face-to-face engagements. We've done an online survey to try and gather that information, but we don't know what we don't know. So it would be great if just to come back to us, and as I say, please contact me if you've got anything else to maybe think about later after the meeting.
The way that we threw the net out to try and, so Vanel helped. The survey itself went out via the Community Matters mailbox as well. So we realise, and something that this is just a first step for this. The next step will be to gather as much feedback as possible, look at the gaps, and updating a mechanism for updating this, and we will take that back through the Driving Digital Local group, because it feels as if the digital inclusion piece is something that we will aim to try and make sure that what we do is not just done once. Some things that are on that dashboard just now may not be around later, but other things may come on. So the intention is to try and keep it updated at a frequency that's appropriate, basically, and then also add anything. Jennifer's team at the GIS team and the council have pulled it into the map that we've shared tonight, and the intention is to keep that updated. So we do intend not to just make this a once and done type thing.
Okay, thanks for that, folks. Very interesting. Thank you very much, Caroline and Lynn.
Thank you.
Nobody, any questions, any points want raised? More than happy with the presentation. And from my side, delighted that you get Kirkshire Neighbourhood Centre be mentioned there, wearing a different hat. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marion.
Oh, sorry, Marion. Yeah, and you come, Marion.
Has this been shared with the local job centres? Because obviously it's such a key thing that the clients that are working in the job, are going to the job centre because of universal credit, etc. They really do need access to IT.
Yeah,
obviously the job centre's got some, but it is minimal.
Yeah,
and I know from my previous job with DWP that they did try to do a mapping exercise years ago, and they may have other sources.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really good. Yeah, it's a good point. We've spoken to our own employability team, Marion, and also to Routes to Work. So as Caroline said, it's a first step, but absolutely take your point about DWP. It's a good point to raise. Okay. I've taken it down for feedback. Thanks very much.
Can I maybe just come in again and not wear my hat as chair tonight, but as a project manager at Kirkshire Neighbourhood Centre, we have just recently received funding for Connecting Scotland in relation to the kind of lending library side of things. So we will be able, as well as supporting IT with the job certs, etc., stuff we do with that, we will be able to do kind of lending library and loan iPads and Chromebooks to people who meet the target group for that kind of stuff. So that can be noted as well. Yeah, I'd imagine there's more other facilities have maybe accessed that kind of funding stream. Yep. So that'd be worth highlighting.
Yeah, and Annie fed that back to the digital subgroup last week, so that was great. We took a note of that.
Great, lovely. Okay, again, thanks very much for that.
No worries. Robert has his hand up.
Yeah, I would just mention about the books. We got them in November 21, 25 of them for the Nifty 50s in Coatbridge and Kirkwood, and they've stopped functioning now. But I spoke to some on the phone today, and they're going to renew the free Wi-Fi for another 6 months. So I've sent an email with all the ones that we've got, just in case. It was just that Willie mentioned the Chromebooks there. If anyone else is in that position, you might need to contact Connect Scotland.
That's right. They were offering an extension. You're right, Robert. That's right. If you had them, they were offering the 6-month extension. So that's good.
It's not very long, is it?
No, I know.
It's through Vodafone. The Connecting Scotland 6 months extension. So if you get the client information and details, that's worth highlighting. Thanks for that, Robert. Okay, folks. Are we happy with that? We can move on. Caroline.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
bye. Bye.
Moving on, our next presentation, it's a volunteer NL Challenge Fund update, and I think the presentation is coming from Heather Liddle, Active and Creative Communities Manager. Is Heather on?
No, it's actually Stephen Miller that's here.
Stephen, oh sorry. Okay.
It's okay. I'm the better looking one out the two of us, so that's how I came to Coatbridge.
We'll put hands up now, folks, right? Okay, Stephen.
Right, I'm just going to share my screen if that's, and you can let me know if you see that.
Yep, fine.
Yeah, brilliant. So my name's Stephen Miller. So I'm the Healthy Communities Manager for Active and Creative Communities. So basically I look after all our sport and leisure for North Lanarkshire Council, and I do report into Heather Liddle. So that's why I'm here on her behalf. So I'm here just to take you through Volunteer NL, which is a new programme that we're running within Active and Creative Communities on behalf of North Lanarkshire Council. So the actual programme itself is funded by the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, and it falls under the theme of communities in place. So the objective of the programme is to promote and support the development and enhancement of volunteering and volunteering opportunities within North Lanarkshire. So we're really just looking to support volunteer development within local groups as well as within NLC. The funding that we've received is up until March 2025, and we launched the programme initially in May of this year. And so we do have a manager, Joanna Kingsley, who looks after volunteer NL for us. And she has currently been, as it says here on the slide, looking with existing volunteers within education, sports development, museum, libraries, country parks. So really all the parts that fall active and creative communities are in. We've already started reaching out to local voluntary groups to make them aware of what we have on offer. And we have a volunteer hub that's based within Broadwood Stadium. However, Joanna is mobile and can go out and visit clubs as well. We're also working closely with Van El because we've obviously got common goals there. I can see Kirsty on the call on the meeting today. So part of this, and the part really for me to speak about today, is you'll be glad there is only about 4 or 5 slides here, so I won't go on for long. But we do have a challenge fund that's available, one for 23-24 and one for 24-25. And the applications are now open for 23-24. However, there is a very short timescale on this, and it's really because of all the processes and procedures we've had to do in the background. So for this year, the applications are open to local voluntary groups. The 6 aims, that are 6 objectives, is looking at promotion and marketing of your group, any events, any training that you may need, uniforms, PPE, and travel and expenses. The grants that we have are between 500 and up to 3,000 approximately. And the current year ones that we have, they close unfortunately Monday the 18th of December. So any group is going to have to be quick getting an application in for this year. And then we will reopen again for the following year. But there's a link on the North Lancashire Council website, which we can send out, and I can put in the chat bar. And I'll also put in the chat bar the email address here. So if you are interested, or if you know of any groups who are interested, it's just a case of putting an email into that email box, and you will be emailed back out an application and some additional information that we have on it. Joanna's there. She works Monday to Thursday as well, so she's happy to speak to anybody if anybody's wanting a conversation one-to-one with her. It's just a case of emailing the inbox and they can take it from there. So that's really all. You'll be glad the information that I've got, very short and sweet tonight. Obviously, if you get any initial questions, I can try and answer them here, or I can get the answers and come back to you.
That's great, Stephen. Thanks very much. I see Councillor Wood's got her hand up. You want to come in, Councillor?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Hi. Why is this, after some apply to this, why is it not an online form? Actually applying
Yeah.
Councillor, you're breaking up. Councillor, you're actually breaking up. Can you maybe try and say that again, see if we can hear it better?
Hear me now?
That's better.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
A bit. So why is it obviously the groups have got to mail in and the forums get sent out. Why is it not an online application, which will be easier for them? It'll be quicker.
Yeah, we totally agree with you. The one of the reasons we'd held back is because we are waiting from the Prosperity Fund and from the people who are doing the work. There should have been a digital application, and it's still not ready. So what we had to do in order to meet some funding for this year, we decided to go ahead with it, basically following this email format. So we will email out a form to you, but I totally agree with you, there is no answer. Going forward, we've been told that by the 24-25, it will be online. So it was really just for speed to get it out there, no other reason.
Thanks, Stephen. It's just that they were worried in case they didn't make the deadline, because you know what Royal Mail's like, trying to get out in post, so they're just fearing in case it obviously it coming to them and then having to send it back in.
Yeah, what I would say, and I spoke to Joanna earlier, I know Joanna's saying that she's going to email out all the information as well as the posted and the hard copy that will come out. All I would do, and what other organisations have done when they've been submitting their application, they're emailing to say expect this, and we're keeping a note of the ones there. Whilst that's the closing date, obviously with postage and with Christmas post and different things like that, we know there will be a bit of flexibility there, but we will have to stop at one point so that the panel can actually score it and make the awards for this year.
Right, thank you. Thanks very much.
No problem at all. Thank you.
Marion, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, obviously I know about the hard copy, and again, I was going to ask what Councillor Woods has just asked, but once it's completed, can it not be scanned into you?
I don't see why not. I don't know the answer to that, but I can double check and I can share that with the group.
It's just it would help, obviously, because of Christmas postage.
Yeah, I can check that tomorrow morning. I'll get a reply out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Robert, you've got your hand up. You want to ask a question?
Oh, Robert, you're still on mute.
You're on mute, Robert.
Is it another Robert, or did my hand not come off the last time?
Your hand's still up.
Oh, I thought it must have went away. Wait a minute, lower your hand. Thank you. I'm
Right,
more used
lovely,
to Zoom than this one. Right, I've got it, lowered it.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks for that. Does anybody else get any questions want to ask Stephen? Okay. Okay, thanks for that, Stephen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, as I say, we'll move on, folks. Item 5 in the agenda is the local priorities, the local outcome improvement plan, the LOIP updates. Obviously, you're aware the three in the Coatbridge locality is poverty, mental health and digital inclusion. The poverty, I believe there's been a full update, has been distributed, including reports, which you'd have probably seen in red. If somebody could maybe give me some update feedbacks on mental health and wellbeing and digital inclusion. Maureen, could you maybe give me some update on what's happening?
I actually did the poverty one, Willie, but thanks for pulling me in again.
Yes, thank you very much.
And the important bit of that one, as I said, was that we were actually managed to get some feedback from all the different organisations locally, and we've included that in the report, so it's the actual impacts that are being seen now. So it's usually VIBA that will give you the mental health and wellbeing one.
Okay. Has MD got any questions, any points you want to raise regards to the LOIPs too? I'm sure Maureen can come back hopefully with some answers. I don't see anybody's hand up, so okay. Moving on, local partner updates, Police Scotland and Scottish Fire and Rescue. Can we have do we know who's doing the Police Scotland?
Yeah, that'll be myself, Chair, Gavin Toohey.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't see on the screen. Okay, Gavin, thank you very much.
No bother. Thanks very much, sir. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen, for having me again here tonight. Just to give you an update, you'll have seen the community board update that Police Scotland provided for the period of kind of August to October. A few wee things which I'll touch on as I read through that. But first and foremost, just want to tell you about a wee bit of kind of change in the personnel that we have here within the Coatbridge locality. Our local area commander, Ross McCallum, will be leaving us. He's going to a national job for the violence reduction unit, following on from some of the good work that he's done as leading for the Lanarkshire division for violence reduction, and will be replaced by Chief Inspector Graham McLaughlin. So we wish Ross all the best in his new role, and Graham McLaughlin, I'm sure, will come in and hit the ground running. He's an experienced area commander, having worked over in the Hamilton area previously, so we're very lucky to have him as he comes in. So I'll run through some of the things that are on the police report that I provided to you. First of all, I'll touch on the violent crime and antisocial behaviour. action plans that we've had. So we've had officers execute action plans in and around the Shawhead and Coatbridge town centre areas. Now that's response to the residents, elected members, reports of youths with antisocial behaviour and drugs misuse down there. We've utilised a number of tactics, including high visibility patrols, plainclothes patrols, and use of the quad bikes, which have been really effective in getting into some of the areas that we've had. In addition to that, it's been supported by the use of our local intelligence and to target hotspot areas that we would ask. So we've adopted a robust policing style for the duration of these action plans. Now that was in response to specific reports that we'd had for youths, particularly within Coatbridge Town Centre and Faraday Retail Park, engaging in a number of offences down there. As a result, a number of these youths were apprehended and were subject to reports which included offences as assault, housebreaking, willful fire raising, offensive weapons and theft. So it's been fairly positive. Now, from that, we're obviously not looking to criminalise children by any manner of means. However, we are aware of the impact it did have on the community wellbeing for these areas, and that continues to happen. And I'll touch a wee bit on what our plans are going to be over the festive period towards the end. I come up with my presentation and report. So another thing to tell you about is some examples of the weapon recoveries that we've had within the Coatbridge locality. An example I had was officer stopped a vehicle due to a manner of driving. Speaking to the driver, they noted a strong smell of cannabis coming from within. Now the occupants were detained and a 20-year-old male was found to be in possession of a lockback knife, quantity of cannabis and cocaine. That male was subsequently arrested, held custody for court to appear at Airdrie Sheriff Court. Another example, we've had officers in the mobile patrol uniformed and unmarked, but mobile patrol and unmarked vehicle observed the suspect motor vehicle being driven on Paddock Street in Coatbridge. The vehicles have the ability and the officers have the ability to do mobile checks. So that system check was carried out in the Police National Computer and it showed that the vehicle to have no insurance or an MOT. The vehicle was subsequently stopped and officers engaged with the driver who confirmed he was aware that there was no documents in force for the vehicle. That male was informed that he was being detained, and however, prior to him being taken from the vehicle, a search was carried out and a 2-foot samurai sword was found within the vehicle. He was also arrested and held in custody, appear at Airdrie Sheriff Court in respect of the weapons and road traffic offences. And speaking to the councillors, one of the complaints that had been made to ourselves was the illegal fly tipping and rubbish, which had been particularly at Cambro Road and the bottom end of Bargeddy. We've been informed of that. So officers have been in this area in an attempt to kind of target harden the opportunity to do the fly tipping. So an example of that was there was an individual who was driving a motor vehicle. It was a white Ford Transit tipper vehicle, had attended at these areas and deposited waste twice. Identification of that individual was obtained from CCTV subsequently, and the registered keeper was thereafter traced and he was subject to offences. Local inquiry was carried out and the suspect male was reported for the offences and liaison was carried out with both North Lanarkshire Council's Environmental Services and that was to look at reducing the opportunity of further incidents. Again, as I say, we're looking to kind of target hard in this area. So what I would say is I'd make a plea to everybody that's online here with me this evening, that if there's any other examples that you certainly make us aware of it, and with our colleagues in the council, we'll try and do our best to one, apprehend the individuals, and two, make it as difficult as we can for that kind of offences to be carried out. One of the impacts and priorities that we have in the Lanarkshire division is engaging the misuse of drugs. So I'll talk a wee bit about some of the drugs recoveries that have happened over the last period. So officers were in mobile patrol in Lock Street in Coatbridge. They were making inquiries into intelligence which had been received from both residents and from some of the councillors that had been speaking to us about ongoing drug dealing down at that locus in that area. We attempted to apprehend individuals down there in a number of ways. There was high visibility patrol that was carried out, but we also utilised plainclothes officers, both on foot and in unmarked police vehicles. The officers observed a male on an electric scooter who was dealing drugs from this locus to another male. At that time, he was apprehended after a significant foot chase through the area. Police officers recovered heroin and a quantity of cash from that individual. Further to this, we obtained a drugs warrant, which was then executed at the home address of this male, where we recovered further quantities of heroin, drug paraphernalia. So that male was then sent to held in custody to appear at court on these drug dealing charges. So that was an excellent example of how the community intelligence is allowing us to impact and apprehend these individuals. The second one I'll tell you about is a police attended a male in possession of a sheriff's search warrant that was issued. That was executed and police recovered 154.4 grams of cannabis. Again, cash was recovered from this along with other drugs paraphernalia. So he was arrested and charged with section 5(3) of the Misuse of Drugs Act 1971, and he was taken to court and released to appear on undertaking for further trial diets. Now, one of the things that we're looking to do in the locality is our violent offender engagement. Now, this follows on from our previous successes that we've had, and we're undertaking warrants initiatives throughout the month of October, effectively. Then that was to engage and apprehend offenders who pose significant risks to our community. So the warrant drive commenced and a number of individuals were arrested, high tariff offenders, and they were brought before the court. There was really good partnership working along this, and I need to actually kind of applaud my colleagues in the housing and the antisocial who engaged with ourselves, also the homeless services. The proactive inquiries that we carried out allowed the community officers to resolve 52 apprehension warrants, and from that 10 of these were what we class as category A apprehension warrants, some of the most violent and dangerous individuals in our community. So that was a really good example of a kind of partnership working and a wee bit of cohesion between the services. Speaking to the councillors, a real concern for the community is the acquisitive crime, and it's effectively the kind of thefts from the area. Now, there's been a number of good examples here. I'll not go through them individually. However, the shoplifting that has occurred both at the Faraday Retail Park and within Coatbridge Town Centre has been significant previously, so much so that we have identified and allocated a secondary town centre officer, a community officer, to engage with us. So we targeted a team, a female suspect who was a known prolific shoplifter. She was apprehended on an outstanding warrant, and she was held in custody for a series of shoplifting offences which we'd identified over a period that had been reported to us from some of the commercial premises down there. So while she may have stolen the items at the time, she was apprehended for these offences further down the line. So she was subject to bail conditions, which have robustly enforced not to enter the locality of the town centre area and the Faraday. A further male suspect was arrested after breaching these undertaking conditions, and he entered the boot store in the main street in Coatbridge. He was arrested and again brought before the court for further bail conditions were imposed upon him. And another thing to tell you about is the impact it had on local businesses. There was two neighbouring businesses which had their vehicles targeted, with males siphoning fuel and diesel from the vehicles in these premises. There was a lot of local inquiry that was carried out as a result of this. The CCTV was utilised in the investigative process that was undertaken through our CID and through the local divisional alcohol and violence reduction unit that we have here. So male was charged, interviewed for that, and forensic examination has been requested on some of the fuel drums and hose pipes which were recovered from that area to identify further males that were involved in this. So that was a good bit of work in terms of apprehending males involved in inquisitive crime. Things to tell you about which are ongoing just now. I've previously mentioned in my presentation.
Sorry, Gavin, can I just interact in this? I'm just conscious of the time.
Yep,
no worries. Maybe just for future reference, for we're submitting reports, really, we could just submit the reports, but so there for reading and viewing, we can just kind of over them. And if people's got any points and questions, we can raise them. I'm just conscious I've got the report. So we don't really need to get through word for word.
Can I
for future reference? So thank you for
absolutely.
this.
Can I just touch on a couple of things that are happening as we go forward here, just before I sign off here?
Okay.
I'm very conscious of time, so apologies for running through this. There's a couple of things that we're doing just now, and it's kind of safeguarding events for some of the more vulnerable individuals we've got, and that's a pilot that's being commenced in conjunction with the trading standards in the no cold calling areas that we have. So that was launched actually in the last period. Where the sheltered housings have been made no cold calling zones, and we'll be looking at rolling that out Lanarkshire wide, but certainly Coatbridge is taking the primacy on that, which is pretty good. And the last thing that I'll quickly touch on is our festive initiative. As you all know, the festive period is going to be particularly busy. The community's increasing social events, etc. Our priorities for this period will be the kind of violence and disorder, antisocial behaviour, acquisitive crime, drug misuse, and the road safety and road crime. So the initiative will be ongoing. I'm happy to speak off table, take questions, but just to let you know some of the things that we will be doing, there'll be an increased and higher visibility for officers in and around public premises where the parties will be ongoing. So you'll probably see a little bit more high visibility police, and some of the uniformed officers will be undertaking some plainclothes patrols as well in order to apprehend individuals as we go forward. But I'll finish it there, Chair, so apologies for taking so long.
No, lovely. Thanks very much. A very detailed report, and you and your guys are obviously very busy. Thanks very much for that. Has anybody got any questions? Councillor Woods.
Hi, Gavin.
Hi, Councillor Woods.
It was just I wasn't really I don't know if you mentioned at the beginning, I didn't pick it up, but there were an incident with one of my constituents that actually works for the council up at Witchwood with threatened with a knife, and I know obviously your officers were there within 5 minutes, and I think one of your officers was assaulted and all. It was just obviously to thank for obviously the instant response from your officers. And it's just to make sure that I know the employees a bit shook up, but just obviously the officers are okay and all.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the incident you're referring to, Councillor, up at Witchwood. Our officer is okay. They did seek hospital treatment that evening. However, they are absolutely fine. They have returned to duties. What I would say, I'd like to reach out to the staff as well for offer our thanks, because it was very much a team effort when that individual was apprehended. Unfortunately, modern society, we as police officers regularly face abusive and assaultative behaviour from individuals, and we look to attend as quickly as possible if members of the public or anybody that's employed by the council are subject to those behaviours. So I would make a personal plea that if that is ongoing, absolutely let us know as soon as we can, and we'll do our bit to try and protect the community.
Sorry, can I come back in, Chair?
Yeah, carry on.
Right, Gavin, I know it's obviously it's been reported. I know in the flats with knives. Is the police going to be monitoring this on a regular basis, or?
Yeah, absolutely, Councillor. When there's an incident where offensive weapons are utilised, that will flag up as I think I mentioned it earlier on in the report, as part of the kind of hotspot areas where offensive weapons are used, or there's been reports of violence and disorder. So that certainly features into what we call as our tactical patrol plans, both for the community police and for the response piece to attend there. I'm happy to kind of speak off table. I know I've got with the councillors regular meetings and give you an update as we go forward from that as to how these plans are going along, but certainly it does feature and it's part of our regular patrol plan.
Thank you, Gavin. I'll speak to you next month then.
No bother, fine.
Thank you.
Okay. Happy to take any other questions.
Any other questions for Gavin? Okay, Gavin, thank you very much for that detailed report.
Yeah, no worries. I feel as if I got off a wee bit earlier, Chair, but okay, perfect.
You guys are very busy, and as they say, stay safe. Thank you. Can I move on to Scottish Fire and Rescue? Is it Martin? Is Martin available tonight?
Chair, apologies, it's myself, it's Station Commander Kenny Stark. I'm here on behalf of Station Commander Feeney. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Station Commander Kenny Stark. I'm actually Station Commander with the responsibility for community safety engagement for North and South Lanarkshire, managing the community safety team, and also have a responsibility for Lanark and Lanark's on-call station. I'm not going to go over the report. I know Martin's wrote a very detailed and comprehensive report for everybody. The couple of elements I would like to go over with it is, as you can see within the kind of trend and analysis, in terms of casualties, deliberate secondary fire setting, fires, casualties, and unwanted fire alarm signals, as we call UFAS, is majority is all a downward trend. The biggest section for the unwanted fire alarm signals is that we've went from 53.49 right the way down to 14. So in terms of a national capacity for that, that's actually resulted in over 6,000 unnecessary blue light journeys that we would have made this time last year across a year has been stopped due to the change in our unwanted fire alarm signal kind of policy that we've had there. In terms of instance of notes and community safety overview, we do have, Martin's put in an absolutely fantastic brief in the bottom there. For those of you that have just see fire reach, don't really understand what it is, our colleagues from North Lanarkshire CLD have actually created a video, and I've actually put that onto YouTube for anybody who'd be interested in watching it to actually see the fantastic work that both our operational crews and the fire reach individuals who work in there, the work that they do with the children, and actually be able to see some of the changes in the kids, coming from a group of 8 to 12 individuals to working as a team, kind of following our safety, teamwork, innovation, respect values on the Friday. And it's a really good look. For week one, as you'll see there, the Today Not Tomorrow, the TNT group, one of the kind of successes that we've had through this as well, so I also sit on the Chair of Champs board for that, is that we actually have 3 individuals from the Today Not Tomorrow, the Care Experience group, who are involved with our youth volunteer scheme. So we've got 2 individuals who are now adult volunteers, and out of the 12 young people, of which our youth volunteer scheme, 75% come from a care experience background or additional support needs. We've got an individual who's there. So essentially we've got 3 individuals who've came from that Today Not Tomorrow group, and those who are at the kind of most need of support. As well as having 75% of our YVS coming from that background, I'm very pleased to say that SFRS Lanarkshire and our YVS Lanarkshire was the only youth volunteer scheme in Scotland who got to go down to the Cenotaph on Remembrance Day and actually parade alongside the UK Fire Cadets. And the 3 youths and 2 of our adult volunteers were actually involved in the parade itself. So that's a massive thing for us, and a massive thing for these kids who, as you're all aware, will not have had these kind of opportunities before. I'll quickly go over some stats that aren't within the report that Martin has provided. So in terms of our risk recognition and partnership referrals training, as you'll see with Martin, it kind of gives a brief overview of what we do. The risk recognition training has continued to be evolved and developed within Lanarkshire, to the point that the risk recognition training the community advocates and community action team within Lanarkshire have collated and created has now been taken national. It's now seen as best practice. So what we were delivering here within this area has now went Scotland-wide. And out of the 90 risk recognition sessions that have been delivered across the West Service Delivery area from the 1st of January this year, Lanarkshire's community action team are responsible for 65 of these. So from 90 across the whole country, we have 65 of them. We've delivered that to every single one of our partner agencies, whether it's police, ambulance, home care providers, both public and private sector. We're involved in third sector as well. And I think it shows how effective it is when we get referrals in for those the most at risk to get high risk fire safety visits, i.e. individuals who may have alcohol and drug problems, may be suffering financial deprivation, etc. So just those who are the most at risk. This time last year, we were getting 60 emails into our inbox for individuals. This year, we're consistently around 140 to 150 referrals in, and these are the most at-risk individuals from fire. But again, it's not just fire that we deal with, it's also keeping people safe and well within their homes, and we also do that signposting element to all of our partners outside. Over the past kind of Q2 that was covered as well, as I mentioned, we did target our home care providers across Lanarkshire, and I'm pleased to say that we've had a great success with that, to the point that we now have individuals who, if they do move on and change roles, etc., we then have a referral system in place that we can then go back out and provide that training. For any of you who have what was legacy Twitter, I encourage you to please follow SFRS Lanarkshire. On there, you'll be able to keep up to date with the current community safety activities that we've been doing. I'll leave the kind of bonfire activities and how well we're able to do with that to Martin when he comes back, because that will obviously be Q3. And I'm quite happy because I'm conscious of the time. If anybody has any questions at all, I'm happy to open it up to the floor, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Kenneth. Do you get any questions? Kirsty, you've got your hand up.
I have, thanks, Chair. It was just to say, Kenny, just to commend you on your fantastic work you're doing with your youth volunteers, and also just a reminder about Saltire Awards that your young people can go for as well, and I can chat to you about that offline. But well done for that, that's great.
Yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic, Kirsty. We really are trying to get our youth volunteers, the best experience that they have with us. If anybody would like to find out more about the youth volunteers of FireReach, I welcome emails and contact to myself or to Martin, and one of us will get back to you on that. And if anybody would like to come down and just have a kind of view of the youth volunteer scheme, we're happy to provide obviously some kind of input to the group as well. For those who aren't aware, the youth volunteer and FireReach are based out of Coatbridge Fire Station, just round the back, and we do target those who are most at risk within schools and other areas. Another wee part that I would actually like to put in is that I know my colleague from Police Scotland was talking about antisocial behaviour, etc. within Lanarkshire. We're also created a data sharing partnership. So we no longer, within community safety within Lanarkshire, refer to deliberate secondary fires internally as deliberate secondary fires. We now have data sharing partnership with police where we call them what they are, antisocial behaviour. So that then allows our systems to link in with police systems, so we can actually see what incidents have we been made aware of, what incidents have Police Scotland been made aware of, and those that we don't, we're able to then tie up together. And it allows us to get that greater mapping system and mapping session so that we can utilise my community safety advocates to go out there and work alongside our colleagues in Police Scotland, whether it's giving antisocial behaviour talks, road safety talks, water safety talks, etc., etc.
Okay, thank you for that, Kenneth. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, guys, moving on. Item 6 in the agenda is community matters, local organisation input. Do we have any? Stephen. Is that Stephen from Monklands Canal?
Hi, how we doing, guys? I'll just give you a quick update what's been going on the Monklands Canal. So we did work with Maureen Simpson on having a look at the Daisy Park because there was a lot of cars parking up in the verges. Now, I went down and met Maureen a few times, and we've been monitoring the cars in the car park that was created by North Lanarkshire, and people are using it all the time. There's less cars on the verges, so it seems to be a good partnership that we've had with NLC. We've highlighted an issue down in the Daisy Park. NLC have came over. We've met with Maureen. She's fed it back to the designers or the surveyors in the council, and they've put into place a car park down there, which seems to be working fine in a roundabout. We've had a member who's put a beehive into our community headquarters. She's got insurance, and she's going to do some beehive, I guess, show it to kind of local kids in schools who want to come around. So we've got that ongoing. We've raised money from Pass for All to do more work on the railway side of the canal. We're hoping to do that in January. NLC have backed us for another bench that we're going to put onto the canal. We're in the process of purchasing another bench, so that'll be the fourth one we've put on, which we've had some feedback from some pensioners in the group who have basically said that they could do with a bench down towards Drumpelia Lawns. That's I guess that's the good points. We've had some issues with Network Rail down at the opposite side of the canal. And we've been doing work basically down there and improving the path, but they're bringing diggers in and the workmen are coming in and they're just dumping stuff. We've had Fulton McGregor trying to contact Network Rail and they've having chats with them regarding any work ongoing with them. And we've also had a lot of shopping trolleys dumped into the canal, which we seem out, and we've basically taken maybe 20 shopping trolleys out of the canal. Now I've spoken to Asda, B&Q, Marks and Spencers, and Tesco, and I've asked them to kind of come put shopping trolleys at the end of the canal, and I've asked them to come up and collect them, and it was kind of unbelievable because they said they've not got a facility to come and collect any shopping trolleys from any areas. And my basic I said, well, how do you collect them? He said, well, if there's an issue, occasionally we'll hire a van or hire some sort of, I guess, pickup truck to do that. But I think the canal just seems to be a smaller problem. It seems to be there's a lot of trolleys about the town centre. Maybe Alan, touch with a lot of the shops as well, and we're trying to see what we can get done about improving the situation with just people dumping shop trolleys over the canal and in Coatbridge. Maybe Alan, do you want to put a quick?
Stephen, you're breaking up a wee bit. I don't know if anybody else is going to say. I'm getting to kind of break up a wee bit, so we'll probably move on. So I've got a couple of people maybe answer a couple of questions. I've got Tracy Carragher and I've got Chrissy McNally. Maybe want to ask a question. So Tracy, I'll bring you in first.
Thanks, Willie. Yeah, it's just to say that Alan had got in touch with me and he'd raised the matter about the trolleys. I've made an inquiry with the council to see if there's anything that they could, any kind of I'm going to say authority that they have over local shops and that, to see if they can encourage them to do something about it. As soon as I get a response, I'll feed it back.
Aye.
Okay.
I think Christine McNally and then Gavin will bring you in. Have you say it? Christine, you want to come in? Don't hear, sir. Okay, Gavin, in you come. You're on mute, Gavin, you're on mute.
Hi, apologies. Just a quick question, Stephen. We put some officers down there before because we'd spoken before that there was some kids congregating down the bottom end. Are you still finding any issues down there, or is that the same group that we've effectively displaced almost up towards the town centre again?
Yeah, we haven't had any reported issues, but we had to remove a bin for down that area because they kept tossing it into the canal. But we haven't had any reported issues, Gavin. So it seems to be not as bad down there at this point.
Perfect. If you do get any issues, will you just give me a wee shout again?
Yeah, we'll do, Gavin. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Okay. So I say, sorry, Stephen, Chichi, but bring it up a wee bit earlier. You want anything you want to add to finish off with?
No, I guess the kind of shopping trolleys thing was maybe something we're going to raise any outstanding. It's just more to see if the council can try and do something about it. But that was about it. We're trying to kind of we've basically had to take a whole lot of them back in Alan's van, and we've took them back to the shops, and the shops don't really seem interested, So I guess it just we're seeing it at the canal, but it's obviously a bigger problem in Coatbridge. You can see shop trolleys everywhere just getting dumped. So yeah, I don't know what the council can do to stop that happening. But it's we can't we can do so much in the canal, but we can't keep pulling them out.
Sure. Well, Councillor Carragher certainly come in, so maybe it's something yourself and Councillor Gallagher get together and maybe see if that's something that can be resolved, not just at the canal, but the town centre in person. Alan McCormack, Alan, you want to come in and see if you get your hand up?
Yeah, listen, I'll just reiterate what Stephen has said. Well, we spoke to Tracy about it. I spoke to Fulton McGregor about it. I mean, as far as I can see, you know, shopping trolleys being allowed to lie all over Coatbridge is a bigger form of littering. And if you are deliberately littering the town centre, it's actually a criminal offence. So we're hoping, I got a letter from Fulton today, or an email from Fulton today saying he's arranged one meeting with the manager of Asda. And hopefully that'll be next Friday. But all we've really heard, like Stephen said, is, you know, we've had some warm words. But if you really, I mean, I think people are blind to litter. Right, there's that much that they don't see it. If you go to Asda, the main road through Coatbridge town centre, it's an absolute disgrace, and it's almost like if all used people will probably drive by there and go, "There's a load of this is Coatbridge," but it's Coatbridge in a really bad light. And I think it's not just Asda. I mean, we've had shopping trolleys from B&Q in the canal. Now, the other thing, Gavin, is, I mean, people must see these people pushing trolleys from B&Q to the end of King Street, and they do nothing about it. And I actually think it's got to an epidemic situation. As I say, we have physically lifted 20 trolleys out of an award-winning canal, because we've won awards for what we've done in the canal, and I think it's a disgrace that these people are getting away with, one, not taking responsibility for their own trolleys, and, you know, obviously it's an offence to leave them lying about. So we feel really strongly about it. And as I say, people at Coatbridge really shouldn't let this happen.
Okay, thanks for that, Alan. I think you're right. I think the people for Coatbridge deserve better. And it's probably quite poignant as we move on. We've got a couple of presentations from Chris Bateman for the UK Government Town Fund and the Town Action Plan update for Craig McIntyre. It's maybe something they want to maybe discuss as we move on. So we'll move on, folks. We did have the Census 22 input, but that's been withdrawn until we get some more info to be presented. So I will move on to local engagement investment, and it's the UK Government Town Fund Coatbridge. And it's Chris Bateman, who's the Project Development Coordinator for Plan and Regeneration. Are you there, Chris?
Chair, thanks. So I'm Chris Bateman. I'm a coordinator in our growth team. The growth team is responsible for developing and delivering our plans for town centre regeneration. And I'll give you a short verbal update on the Towns Fund Award for Coatbridge. And I'll also cover Craig's presentation as well around the town action plans. So about 7 weeks ago, thanks, Chair. About 7 weeks ago now, it was announced that Coatbridge had been awarded £20 million in UK Government Towns Fund funding. We have since had some limited further formal information from UK Government about the award. We know that the funding will be released to us across 10 financial years from 2024-25. We know that it should support projects across 3 key themes: safety and security, high streets, heritage and regeneration, and transport and connectivity. We also know that they expect 3/4 of the funding to support capital projects, things like new housing or road improvements, and the remaining 25% on revenue costs like staff and rent rates and keeping the lights on. We also know that we'll be required to establish some form of town board to oversee the delivery of the town fund in Coatbridge, including community engagement and the preparation of an action plan setting out what projects will be supported through the Towns Fund. The 7 Scottish local authorities that had towns awarded funding from this programme had an introductory call with the UK Government last week. We were told to expect more formal guidance in the new year setting out the requirements in local authorities and in towns boards, but they did suggest there would be some local flexibility in how authorities developed their governance arrangements and in how the funding was spent. From our perspective, we feel that this board is perhaps the most appropriate place to make decisions around the Towns Fund, whether that's through having a parallel board structure or meeting exclusively around the fund, or whether we establish some form of community engagement exercise, a broader forum, and then come back to this board with recommendations for how we deliver the Towns Fund and how we set out a projects and action plan, or something in between. So we'll continue to liaise with the UK Government on that, and we'll come back to you for a further discussion once we know more and once formal guidance has been published. I would now cover, in a related note, I'll cover the Town Action Plan item on the agenda on Craig's behalf. So as you will also be aware, The growth team has been tasked with producing town action plans for the 8 largest towns in North Lanarkshire. We covered Airdrie, Wishaw and Motherwell in phase 1 last year, with Bellshill, Coatbridge, Kilsyth and Shotts being taken forward this time around. So community engagement is key to building a consensus around what will be in the town action plans or TAPs. And there are 3 distinct phases of engagement for each of the draft town action plans. So the first one's a public meeting to introduce the town action plans, to explain its purpose, and most importantly, to listen to the views and proposals of the community. And in Coatbridge, that took place on the 14th of October in Coatbridge High School. The public meeting was attended by 23 people, and there were a number of issues, views and proposals that were captured at the event, and Craig's working in the feedback from that. Secondly, we're going to be delivering a youth workshop to capture the views of our young people. And that's currently been developed with the Education Service, and the date for that is to be confirmed. And finally, with a draft town action plan document will be produced, and that will be placed in public for consultation. There'll be a full 6-week physical exhibition in our libraries, and an online exhibition as well. And the physical exhibition in the library will include 6 drop-in sessions where officers will be available to meet the public and explain and discuss any issues or proposals. Since that work's ongoing in 3 of the towns just now, but since the announcement of our Towns Fund, we've delayed phases 2 and 3 in Coatbridge, so there's no abortive work. We don't end up with consultation fatigue. So what we'll be doing is we'll be making sure that we revisit phases 2 and 3. We'll be complying with any guidance that we have from UK Government around the the Towns Fund action plan. So we're picking up on that, and the dates for those phases will be coming out soon, and that will come after the new year once we've had formal guidance from UK Government. So I hope that makes sense. There's a wee bit going on there, and community board members will be encouraged to promote the fact that the public, third sector and businesses will have a real opportunity to influence the contents of not only the draft town action plan, but also how we go about spending that £20 million award for Coatbridge.
Just lost you, Chris.
Sorry, where did I drop off? So I think I just finished there by saying that we'll be coming back to...
You dropped off for a second here.
I think I just finished off there by saying, can you still hear me now, Chair? Yeah. So effectively, we come back to the...
Yeah, you just dropped off for a second again.
Sorry, I think my kids must be... Since I'm in the study, they're taking advantage, and they're on their screens at 8 o'clock, so I need to give them into a bit of trouble. I go back to it.
Hope they're not watching football on your iPad.
No, not definitely.
So sorry, anyway, Chris, I think we got
comment since
most
elected
of that,
members
so
on the
thank you
line.
very much.
So
I
any
think
comments you
you've
have?
got... Has anybody got any questions, any comments for Chris? Councillor Woods.
Hi. You hear me, Billy?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Right, I don't know, Councillor Carrigan, elected members for the community board were invited online with elected members about the town plan. Now, only me and Councillor Carrigan was on the meeting. Then we had a public meeting for the town plan up in Coatbridge High School. I know there were only 23 people there out of the whole of Coatbridge. We're all here talking about our Coatbridge, about taking a bit of pride in it. Nobody, it just seems to be there's no interest in where we want this to go. We've also got £20 million coming to Coatbridge. I know it's going to be a town forum. It's going to be businesses that's on it, but I don't know how we're publicising this, because there's not a lot of people. I mean, I spoke to a lot of groups last week, and they didn't even know about the town plan consultation in Coatbridge High School, and they wanted to go. So there's a wee bit of lack of, I don't know where the communication is lacking, because we, I'm Coatbridge, I've been born in Coatbridge, and Coatbridge, you want to be proud of it. And I just see I know there's wee groups and they're really proud, like Maltons Canal, I walk there all the time, it's absolutely fantastic. And the car parking and the wee roundabout up there is absolutely brilliant. But we need to be more I don't know, through a community board, we need to be more communication, more prompt, and getting this communication out to every member when these consultations are happening. Sorry for my wee rant, but it was just, I was disappointed with the uptake of people coming in.
Thanks for your feedback, Councillor. I'll take that back to Craig and we can pick up as well with Matt and the team around communication, how we get that out there. I know that some of the attendance at the events has been variable and there's been really strong attendance at some other localities. But it's something we'll pick up on and we'll have a look at, and hopefully going forward, that carrot of the £20 million for the Towns Fund, that might draw more people out to share their ideas for how we go about spending that.
Okay, Chris, thanks for that. I've got Tracy Carragher want to come in, then Matt Costello. So Tracy, Councillor Carragher, you want to come in first?
Yeah, it's just to support what Geraldine said there, to be honest with you. And do you know, our last community board meeting, we held it in person, and I felt we had more members of the public there. That used to be the case when we held these meetings in public. Members of the public used to come. We're now back online, and I don't see any members of the public here. We're all elected members of the council or community groups. There's no actual members of the public here, and so we're speaking to ourselves. So I really do agree with what Geraldine said there. I mean, I don't know if we've got to walk down the main street and hand out leaflets to people to encourage them to come to any events. Certainly, the community board was better attended when it was in person.
Yeah,
that's me, Will.
Thanks for that, Councillor. Thanks for that, Councillor. I totally agree with that. I had that discussion with Maureen Simpson this morning about the community boards, where I feel personally, my view is person to person, and I do think we get the title community board because the community's there. But Matt, I know your hand's up. You want to come in, please?
Just a couple of points. I totally recognise the concerns about community representation at community boards. I think it's absolutely vital that we increase that. And face-to-face meetings, I think in my experience, they certainly do tend to encourage more people to come along on that basis. We did put out a kind of vote to the community board to determine that it was led by the people who attended the board what they wanted to do on that basis. I think there was a majority in favour of having this meeting in particular. I think maybe the winter time on an online basis. That was the kind of rationale behind that. I think the intention is once we go back into the better weather that we'll go back into face-to-face meetings. If the board determines they want all the meetings to be face-to-face, then that's what we'll do. There's absolutely no issue with that. In terms of publicity, we work very hard as a team, and ourselves and other partners in conjunction with elected members who I know share a lot of information about these things that are going on through our partners, through social media and other interaction. And we really do try to encourage attendance. And that we've now recently also, there's a new part of the council's website that is now down to a My Town level. And these are now going to be individual pages for areas like Coatbridge, where all the information pertaining to what's going on in Coatbridge will be contained on that. We'll share that widely with all the groups and partners in relation to that, and also the My Town social media sites, which is something we are increasing the usage of that as well to try and encourage people to attend meetings. We tried to make, I think tonight, as you can see, the number of presentations tonight, which I think were very interesting, very relevant to the area, about very wide ranging as well, about volunteering, about digital inclusion, about the work of the Strategic Leadership Board and how it links into the community boards and how it benefits local communities. So there is a lot of things there for people to be part of. Again, it could be the time of year, winter, dark nights, etc. But it's something we will continue to work on it, and we ask everybody that's involved in this, including elected members, partners and members of the public groups that are here, to share as widely as possible. We've all got a role in this. It's not just down to the council or partners, whoever. Every individual who attends here has got a role to share that. And maybe the point you picked up on there, Councillor Carragher, about getting leaflets out and going down the town centre with it, is that something that could be considered again, going back to the old style way of sharing information like that? Absolutely. and it can't all be online, it can't all be digital. We've got to think about other ways of doing this as well, and that's certainly something we'll consider as part of our ongoing community engagement. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Matt. Alan, you've still got your hand up. I see Marion Tobin's waiting to come in, so if I can bring Marion in first, I'll come back to you, Alan.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I do agree with what Matt's just said there, and I think public meeting, the timing was maybe a bit of an issue in that there was school holidays roughly about at the same time. But I think that we have to make better use of social media. You know, sharing on, you've got Coatbridge past and present, or present and past, whatever one you want to use, with 25,000 followers on it. You know, if there's public meetings, then I think that's probably a good channel. Also, you've got your big supermarkets have all got community officers, they've all got a community board. Why not put posters up there? You know, you're going to attract people walking by, you know, if they see a big poster about a public meeting. Anything. I don't think there's that many folk look at the, and no offence, the North Lanarkshire website.
Okay, Marion, thanks for that. I'm going to have one more go at this. I'm going to move on. So I'm conscious of the time. I think Stephen was wanting to come back in from Monkton's Canal.
Yeah, just a quick one. I've been to both the online. Well, I've joined the online meetings and the public meetings. Now, a lot of the time, I guess people. I'm in Athlone in Ireland just now working the project, so the online meetings benefit some people, and the public will benefit other people. I guess what I'm saying is there not any way that you could have both? You know, you could have a public meeting and have a forum in the background if they wanted the actions regarding what's going on in a meeting, so they can be in online in the background. It's just a thought. I don't know if it can be done, but that's just what I wanted to say.
Okay, Matt, I see you've got your hand up. Maybe you want to come in and I'll say we'll end this one and we'll move on with that. You want to have the finishing?
Very briefly, Chair, I know Jim's come back in there. I don't know if it's Paul for Jim to come back in, but just very briefly on the point about Stephen was talking about there about hybrid meetings. It's something we are really committed to doing, and the council is working on that at the moment to try and get a solution that allows us to have a hybrid meeting where we can go into local community, maybe schools, hopefully in the future, or community hubs in the future, and have a meeting where we can also have it online where people like yourself, Stephen, in Ireland can join the meeting, but also be there face to face. So it is really an opportunity for us to do that. We're looking at that. There are options there. There's cost implications, there's logistics, but it is something we're committed to looking at and hopefully bring that solution sooner rather than later. But we'll try our best to continue to do that.
Okay. Sorry, Matt, who did you say was waiting still to come in? Jim?
Yeah.
Thanks, Chair. Apologies, probably kind of saying quite a lot of what everybody's saying here, but I think it's absolutely key what's been said earlier on. I think I absolutely welcome. There's a lot of really good chat about that kind of integration for local communities, etc. And it takes me back to some of the stuff I was talking about earlier on for the chat for the Strategic Leadership Board and the importance of getting that ground truth. I think one of the councillors spoke earlier on, right at the start of all of this, and I think that nailed it for me in saying that if we've not got a local community involved, we're really just sitting here talking to ourselves. And that's something that we're very, very keen to get away from. So I absolutely welcome the amount of work that's being done by Matt and his team, and he's through extensive amounts here. And it's just about building upon that and seeing how we can get people engaged, because as I say, that's absolutely key too, is it?
Okay, thanks, Jim. Very last point is, I think Alan was still going to come in. So Alan, I'm going to give you the last minute and then we're going to move on for this subject.
Right, okay, listen, it was just regards the community, the public meeting in the, was it the Coatbridge College? I mean, obviously Stephen and I in the Monklands Canal Group are very passionate about Coatbridge. I knew nothing about that meeting, otherwise I'd have been there. And like you said there, you know, obviously advertising these kind of things, using social media, Coatbridge, like Marion said, Coatbridge past and present. We need to get the word out there, because the idea is, you know, getting £20 million to spend in the centre of Coatbridge is it's big news and it's exciting. because Coatbridge really does need it. And obviously we have a connection with Summerlee Heritage Museum as well, because part of the canal went up there, and we've got a great relationship with them. And we believe that they are actually they're going to be receiving some lottery funding as well. So this is all positive stuff for Coatbridge. But like you say, I never knew about it. Stephen didn't know about the public consultation about this 20 million. We need to get it out there, and social media leaflets, I think, is a brilliant idea, especially up Coatbridge Main Street. I would definitely be doing that. So I'll end with that.
That's great. Thanks for that. And I think we're all in agreement about the publicity, market, and the promotion of what's happening in the main street has to be done. And us as individuals, or collectively as a community board, whether we live or we work in Coatbridge, we need to do more to make sure the news gets out and about. So thank you very much for that, and thanks, Chris, for the presentation on that. Moving on quickly, guys, I'm really conscious of the time. It's Voluntary Action North Lanarkshire's update, and it's Kirsty Struthers. Kirsty, apologies for you waited so long, but the floor's now yours.
No problem. Chair, would it be okay if I started with an update on the community agreement, because that was the very first topic that we put in our written document. Yes. So following the first draft of the community agreement document being brought to the last round of community boards, there was an online event that took place on the 26th of October, and that was to give all community board members an opportunity to provide feedback on that draft document. So just prior to that, the draft had been taken to the North Lanarkshire Partnership Strategic Leadership Board on the 8th of September, and that document was agreed in principle there. But the community agreement itself is currently being finalised, incorporating all the feedback received to date. As you'll know, having seen the draft, the agreement is based on several high-level priorities, and they kind of focus on the underpinning values that all stakeholders want to see included. So because that's very high level, there really needs to be an implementation plan which sits underneath that, and that's currently being drafted at the moment. Vanel used their last round of locality network events, and we used them to consult the organisations who came along on the key issues that they felt should be included within the implementation plan itself, and also the challenges that they felt might be encountered and potential ways to get round that. So to further the implementation plan, there's been a workshop being arranged for the 23rd of January, and that's for Strategic Leadership Board members to contribute to the implementation plan, so they'll have their say in that as well. So in terms of concluding the process, the plan for the community agreement is it will be launched in March or April 24, and from there there'll be ongoing regular review, especially of the implementation plan itself. The other two topics that we had on our written update were a review of the North Lanarkshire community and voluntary sector strategy. The current strategy period is 21 to 24, so we're just conscious that it's up for review soon. And at the CVSPG meeting, the Community and Voluntary Sector Partnership Group meeting, which took place on Tuesday of this week, it was a development session we had, and one of the topics was the review of that strategy. Very little has changed in the period, so funding still is up there as the key priority for the sector. So we're just gathering feedback at the moment, and everyone will have the opportunity to contribute to that. And hopefully we'll have that strategy ready to go for April 2024, which will be the period 24 to 27. The last thing I just want to update on is the long-awaited website of Voluntary Action North Lanarkshire and the wider sector. So this is our sector platform. Vanel host it obviously on behalf of the sector. It's been an awful long time coming, but I'm pleased to say that it's now ready and it's looking good with a lot of great content on there. It's a brilliant place to go for information about anything to do with the sector, any of the meeting structures. There'll be agendas and minutes, etc. put on there as well with a link to that, so that we're not kind of, clogging up people's inboxes when we're sending out invitations. We have a number of networks, we have a number of groups and things that we work within as well. So just to let people know that that is up and running, and if anyone would like any information put on that, then please let us know. Happy to do that. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Kirsty. Have you got any questions, any points you want to raise? You got enough light tonight. Lovely. Thanks very much. Moving on, again, local engagement consultation. I'm led to believe that there isn't any anyway on that part of the agenda, so I'm going to move on to standing agenda items. Community Corner update and a report from Janie O'Neill, Chief Officer for Education and Families.
Thanks, Chair. I think Maureen had her hand up there. I don't know if she was wanting to come in first, sorry.
I did. I just wanted to say very quickly, local consultation, there's actually a survey being launched this Friday, the 25th, and it's for the 16 days of activism. The topic this year is violence against women. The survey is only going out in Coatbridge and Motherwell, and that's as the result of a survey that was done earlier in the year, a report through the police, that those two areas were highlighted as having the most problems. So it's basically about women's perceptions within the town centres. It's open for the 16 days of activism. It will be shared widely across our social media pages. Posters have already gone out as well to different locations within the localities. And when you see it, if you could share it within your own networks, that would be fantastic. We're hoping to get as much info back as possible.
Great, thanks for that, Maureen. Apologies, I've never seen your hand up. Janie, back to you.
Thanks very much, Chair. No problem. So a couple of things that I was going to update on have already been presented upon this evening with the £20 million town fund, and also totally agree with what was been said around it was really important to try and get as many people as possible contributing to that. But I've got some other updates here from different departments across the council, which obviously refer to Coatbridge. So I'll just go through them in the order I've got. So apologies if it's maybe not all kind of making sense if I jump between housing and whatever else, but this is just the order it's coming for me here. So we've got housing developments on site. We've got an update from colleagues there saying that in Berwick Street we've got 19 units there on site. Housing development at design development phase, Kildonan Street, Bank Street, Shawhead and the Old Columba High School. Coatswood Cemetery Extension design works are being developed there. I've got an update from colleagues from that department. And then we know obviously about the Riverbank Community Hub was handed over on the 18th of August, and obviously all the children are in now. And we did have a thorough discussion about that at the last board. In terms of St Kevin's Community Hub, it's at stage 2 with a submission expected this month. And that's from the estate development team. And St Stephen's Community Hub, which is also one which is in the pipeline as well. Submission is at stage 1, I should say, and submission again expected in November. Then jumping back here to housing. Shawhead Backflats demolition. It says on site all buildings will be demolished by Christmas even, with site remediation programme to be completed by March 24. And just a wee health warning on that one, that's weather permitting. And then we've got some overcladding. It says W&C overcladding early design stage programme to be commenced in 25-26. And from housing property as well, Lomond Road upgrades, and it says Blackburns in brackets, phase 5 of 9 complete and programmed completion. And then Jackson Court on site, programmed completion October 24. So again, housing property and projects with ongoing works there. And Coltswood and Redbridge sprinklers on site and due to be completed this month. And then one about the green space and West End Park. Works are underway there, and following last year's community consultation, they're going to establish native wildflower meadows in West End Park, which is good to hear as well. And then one which is relevant for across all of North Lanarkshire, but also for Coatbridge, is their Scottish Youth Parliament elections are on just now this month, and all young people across North Lanarkshire have the opportunity to vote using an online voting platform to elect 9 young people to represent North Lanarkshire young people at the Scottish Youth Parliament. There's 23 candidates. Voting's been taking place from the 6th of November and ended there on the 20th of November as well. So those are the updates that I've got this evening, Chair, if that's okay.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Councillor Carragher.
Hi, Willie. Gary had his hand up first before me.
Okay, Gary, you want to come in first then? Sorry, just... Never seen it on my screen.
Thanks, Willie. Thanks. Just a little update about what you said there, Jenny, as well. The Columba High School development was actually granted planning permission at the planning committee meeting today. So that's moving ahead now, and that's 127 new housing units that will be built at the old Columba High School site. Looking probably at delivery of that at some point in 25-26. These houses will be coming live. Thank you.
Councillor Carragher, you want to come in?
Yeah, it's just to say that myself, Geraldine and Andrew, we visited the Berwick Street houses today. We had a wee tour of them, and I have to say, extremely impressed. And you know, I think the people that are getting the opportunity to move in them, they're very, very, very happy. And you know, thinking forward to the other sites where we're going to be getting new houses, if that's the standards of them, you know, I'm genuinely really impressed.
Okay.
And also the Scottish Youth Parliament elections, we might want to invite the people that are elected to that to a future community board meeting. I know we used to do it, didn't we? We used to have a member on here.
Yeah, we did. Okay, Councillor
That's
Carragher,
me.
thank you very much for that. Jenny, thank you very much. Moving on quickly, the local development programme update. I believe it's coming from Andrew Noble, the Assistant Community Partnership Manager.
Yeah, as Willie, thanks. And just very briefly, just an update on the project. You've got the report. We circulated the papers. Just a couple of points to pick up. We're currently in the process of 2 major procurements, which will procurement piece of work for basically all the kind of surfacing projects that are contained for Coatbridge, but also for the rest of the programme, and for all the play areas and muggers and wheel sports facilities. And both those procurements are coming to end. The surfacing contract will look to appoint in early mid-December, and the play areas will look to appoint contractors by the end of December. So it's 2 kind of major pieces of work that we'll look to then roll out in the early part of 2024. We hope to get all the surfacing contract work finished by the end of the financial year, and the play area work to be concluded through the spring and later part or the early part of the new financial year in April and May. So we're looking to get all those contracts allocated, and then the work commenced in the early part of 2024. So it's quite a major piece of work. We've still got some of the challenges around about supply, but we've worked closely with their procurement partners and with the contractors through the national frameworks, and we're very positive that we'll get that work allocated and agreed and actioned early in the new year. Just one other thing, I suppose the only project that's sort of seeking endorsement of the board tonight is the Last Trams project. It's a heritage project, and there's a £10,000 proposal. So to see if people are supportive of that, if there's any issues and they want to agree that and go forward to committee in the new year. And happy to take any other questions that people may have.
Okay.
Oh, and just one final point, just to note, in Appendix 2, it notes that the allocation for the boards is for the 5 years of the capital plan. The capital plan, this is year 3 of the capital plan. The capital plan is currently being reviewed, and there'll be a new capital plan, I suppose, starting from year 1, from April. So there'll be there's an ongoing review, obviously, for all the council's capital plan, but for the budgets for the LDP and associated programmes. So just to make you aware of that just now. So happy to take any questions.
Andrew. Thanks, Andrew. So I'd imagine you're looking for an endorsement from the board for the approval of the £10,000.
Yes, well, endorsement of that project, yes, for the trams.
Does anybody have any objections to that? So it seems as if the board are quite happy to progress with that, Andrew.
That's fine.
I'm really conscious of the time. I don't know if our screen goes blank in 1 minute or not. What's the procedure?
No, I'll be fine, Chair. Carry on.
Fine. Okay, that's lovely. Does anybody have any other questions want to regard the Jeannie? Jeannie, want to come in?
No, it wasn't a question, sorry, I thought you were going to move on to AOB. I was just going to come in on something on that.
Okay, well, that's exactly what we'll do now. We'll move on to any other competent business. On you go, carry on, Jenny.
It was just to say, unfortunately, this will be my last board because I've got a new post. I'm taking up a new job in a week's time in a different council. So I just wanted to let the board know that and say that it comes to the end of a very long association with Coatbridge. And I certainly wish the town and the folk of Coatbridge all the very best moving forward, and I will be certainly watching with interest how things are developing with the town plan and so on. So just thanks very much for having me as a member of the board, and Matt will give you information moving forward and who will be the the community person to replace me. So just that's what I wanted to say. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Well, I think I speak behalf of the board and say thank you for your presence and your guidance and support during your time in the community board. It's been certainly very much respected. Best of luck in your new post.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, folks, is anybody any other business? Okay, I'm going to close the meeting with, firstly, my apologies for the first hitch of the 10 minutes of tonight. And thank you very much, whoever chaired it in my absence. I apologise for that hitch. The date and time of the next meeting is the 22nd of February 2024. And I have been asked to see if there's any organisation, so I'm hoping it's going to be face-to-face, if any organisation are willing to host it, if they maybe contact Community Matters and let us know, folks. Okay, and I'll end even that. Thank you very much for your time, your patience, your understanding. Once again, apologies for the hitch, and good evening, folks, and have a good night. Thank you.
Good night, all.
Thanks,
everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Chair. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Chair.
Good night.
Thanks.